Cellulose. What is it? Is it really sawdust? Why would anyone put it in your food supplements? Let's talk about all this and more, this time on Supplementary Knowledge Under the Label with Dr. B. I spent the last 30 years studying health and nutrition. I have a doctorate in public health and have been a registered dietitian for over 25 years. If that's not enough, all my references for this video are in the description below. I encourage you to check these out for yourself. Cellulose. It's the main structural component of plants. It is the most abundant biopolymer on Earth. It's what gives every plant its shape. Think of cellulose as the bones of a plant. Cellulose is present in every plant. The amount and type may vary, but it is actually a decent portion of your diet. That is, assuming you eat your fruits and veggies. In fact, apples and celery are some of the foods with the highest amounts of cellulose. Chemically, cellulose is a polysaccharide, a long branch chain of sugar units, a starch. Though for humans, it's a fiber, as we lack the enzymes needed to digest it. Cows and other animals have the needed enzymes and extra stomachs that are needed to convert cellulose into energy. About a third of your vegetables are cellulose, 50% of trees, and 90% of cotton. Cellulose occurs in almost every form of life on Earth. Cellulose, isolated and or modified, is used in a number of industries. You can find it in your clothing, good old-fashioned photography film, as a component of paper and cardboard, as a thickener. It keeps tablets from falling apart, in your lipstick. It is even in your biodegradable containers and cutlery. So, how is cellulose produced? Most commercial cellulose originates from wood pulp, or sawdust, followed by cotton dust. However, non-wood sources are becoming more popular due to concerns over sustainability and lower production cost. Despite these origins, you are not actually consuming sawdust, wood chips, grass, or cotton fibers. There's a fair bit of processing involved which separates the cellulose from the other components in these starting materials. Additionally, cellulose can also be obtained from corn, soy, sugarcane, or most any grain, and a bunch of other sources. Remember, it's in every plant. Like everything else in this series, there's not just one form of cellulose. Let's talk about the most common forms used in foods and supplements. Sometimes these will show up on the label under the names I'll cover next. Other times, it's just going to be listed as cellulose. Microcrystalline cellulose, or MCC, is one of the two most commonly used forms of cellulose in foods and supplements. It can be used for most of the purposes that I'll discuss in the next section. MCC, as the name suggests, is a crystalline form of cellulose. The crystalline form makes it easier to work with in manufacturing without changing its properties substantially. Powdered cellulose is the most commonly used form. Like MCC, powdered cellulose can be used for most of the purposes I'll talk about in a few minutes. The only disadvantage here is the dust associated with using this form in manufacturing. It requires some extra precautions to prevent breathing in the fine dust or having it get into your eyes. Carboxymethylcellulose, or CMC, forms colloids in liquids. A colloid is a unique type of suspension. CMC is often used as a thickener and suspending agent. A little bit will both add some body to a drink and prevent the contents from settling to the bottom. This function can also help protect certain flavor components in beverages. Use enough CMC and you can create a nice jelly or a vegan gelatin. Cross-carbamylose, or cross-linked carboxymethylcellulose, is a slightly modified version of the CMC. This version can be thought of as a web of CMC all connected together. This organization is good at holding water. Its main use is as a disintegrant in tablets. This means that it helps break apart tablets within the gut, releasing their contents. The cross-carbamylose soaks up the water in your digestive tract and swells, forcing the tablet apart. No one wants to see their tablets intact in the toilet. Rectal rockets, as they were. Hypromellose is another modified cellulose. Its chemical name is hydroxypropylmethylcellulose, or HPMC. It's the most processed form of cellulose. You'll find it as the main ingredient in veggie capsules, the actual capsule shell, as the main ingredient in artificial tears, and a bunch of industrial uses. Like cross-carbamylose before, hypromellose is a great gelling agent and can also be used to help your tablets disintegrate during digestion. Several forms of cellulose can be used to thicken or stabilize foods and supplements. Both powdered cellulose and MCC are used in this manner. Don't want your vinaigrette to separate? Add a little cellulose. Similarly, cellulose materials provide texture to foods. In some cases, they can be used to give low-fat foods a mouthfeel similar to the full-fat version. Up to 50% of the fat in a food can be replaced with MCC without a noticeable change in the mouthfeel or texture. Like silica, there's another video on that in my channel. Several forms of cellulose can be used to prevent clumping in foods and powder blends. You'll also see cellulose being used in pre-sliced, shredded, or cubed cheeses to prevent them from sticking together. Here, though, cellulose is used in higher quantities than silica. More on that in a bit. As I noted earlier, some forms of cellulose are good at absorbing water. That can be good in a number of ways, helping to break apart tablets or keeping your muffins and breads moist. Can I use that word? A moist muffin is good, right? Either way, cellulose can help keep the moisture where you want it. Moist. As a natural fiber, cellulose can not only be a cheap and flavorless way to add fiber to a product, this can also inexpensively increase the bulk of the food item or powder blend. This has the added benefit of reducing calories, as cellulose and other fibers are low or no calorie components of foods. So one ingredient can increase the size and fiber content of your food while also lowering its calories. Those are some nice buns. Lastly, let's talk about the use of cellulose in tablets. Kind of covered most of this already, so just a quick recap. Cellulose has two main roles here. First, some forms like MCC and powdered cellulose compress nicely, making a durable tablet that doesn't break apart in the bottle, and other forms like cross-carbamylose and hypromellose absorb water to help break apart the tablet during digestion. Get the right mix and you have a tablet that makes it intact to your mouth and no rockets in the bathroom. So, the various forms of cellulose can be used in very small to quite large amounts. You'll see larger amounts used in foods than in supplements, with beverages and bakery items using the most. To put that into numbers, use in capsules or tablet products is usually less than 20%. Most of the time, it's less than 10%. Foods are highly variable and could range from less than a gram, a couple percent, to as much as 10 grams, maybe more, which could be as much as about 30% of a food item. In such cases, you can get a rough idea on the amount by looking at the grams of fiber in the food. That's the most cellulose that could be in there, though there are likely other forms of fiber also present in the food. So the cellulose content will be less than this number. Given that cellulose makes up a good portion of all plants, it's a very safe ingredient. Even the modified forms do not appear to have any appreciable toxicity. The only real concern is if you happen to get some in your eyes, in which case it can be quite irritating. It's worth noting that eating large quantities of cellulose or any fiber may lead to increased gas, bloating, constipation, and diarrhea. This is more of a concern with food items due to the much larger quantities used. The amount in supplements is usually too small for these types of effects. So in summary, is there really sawdust in your food or supplements? That's a clear no. Many foods have added cellulose in one or more of the forms discussed. These purified cellulose materials may have started life out as some form of wood, but they're a far cry from that now. Ultimately, regardless of the form used, the cellulose in your foods and supplements is seen by the body as just a type of fiber, like it is in the plants that you're consuming already. Something most of us are already deficient in. Boom. Knowledge supplemented. As always, you'll find links to all the references that I used for this video in the description down below. Use them as a starting point for any additional research you'd like to do on cellulose. If you found this video helpful, then please give it a like and subscribe. Leave a comment letting me know what you'd like covered next. Thanks for watching.